Hey everybody, my name is Hyperfocus and welcome back to Fantasy Focus, the show where I help you guys win your fantasy LCS games. So let's get started quickly before YouTube's web camera recorded thing crashes on the upteenth time. Here we go. So there's two teams that I'm really hyped for this week. The first of which is going to be Origin Gaming. Origin lost to Fnatic last week, which was that was the hype matchup, but quite frankly Origin just underperformed slightly and that's what cost them the win. Anyway, enough about that. Origin going against Gambit Gaming, who are currently 3-5 right now. I don't think Gambit is on the same tier as Origin, so that's why I believe Origin's probably a good pick just with that matchup by itself. I think they'll get a ton of points just right there. But to top it off, they're going to be going against the Copenhagen Wolves, who are a complete disaster right now. I'll explain later when they're in the bottom 5, hint hint. So I'll go over that more later. The second team I'm hyped for is Dignitas. Dignitas has proved to me and many other non-believers that they are an elite team in the NA LCS and they are to be taken seriously, even with their switch from Zingy to Helios. If that wasn't supposed to, that should have been an improvement, but honestly Helios has not performed as well as Zingy was, which is surprising to say the least. Did not think I'd hear myself say that. Anyway, Dignitas is going against Enemy Esports, who are currently 3-5. I think they are a mechanically gifted team, and I think they have a chance to beat Dignitas, but I think Dignitas has proven, especially last week with some of their victories, with their 2 victories last week, that they are an elite team and they can take care of the mid-tier teams, if not the elite teams as well. So, if you don't trust that matchup, I suggest you trust the next matchup, which is Dignitas against TDK, currently 0-8 in the LCS. I'll explain later what their major flaws are, but quite frankly, they're outclassed in this matchup, and I think Dignitas will slaughter them and get a ton of points. So, moving on to my third pick, it's going to be Fnatic Gaming. Fnatic is going against H2K, which is the probably third best team in EU LCS right now, but I think Fnatic, if they don't win, which I expect them to win, but if they do not win, they should be able to put up a ton of points here in this game, because I expect a lot of skirmishes and fights over objectives and stuff, since both those teams are pretty conscious of those things. And the second matchup is against Gambit Gaming, so I honestly, if Fnatic could beat Origin, I'm pretty confident they could beat almost anyone else in the EU LCS. That doesn't include H2K. So I'm pretty confident they're going to put up a lot of points against Gambit. So my fourth team to trust here, in my top 5 anyway, is H2K Gaming. H2K is going against Fnatic, as I just said. Again, I'm pretty skeptical on which way this game's going to go. I'm confident, though, there's going to be a lot of skirmishes, so that should get you a lot of points. So I would trust both H2K and Fnatic, even though they're going against each other this week. The other team that H2K are going against is the SKT Gaming team. I think they have picked it up recently, especially Candy Panda, in merging with the team and becoming team players with one another. But I think H2K's bot lane of Yarman and Kasing are way better than Candy Panda and Rated. So where I believe most of their success has been derived from with SK Gaming, which is bot lane, I think they'll be able to pretty much cancel that out and pretty much ruin any hope of bot lane getting fed with the whole Kasing and Yarman. Interesting note, ever since Kasing joined the team, H2K is 17-20. Enough said, honestly. My fifth and last team in my top 5, this one was really tough for me to pick, but there's a lot of question marks on some of the other teams out here, and a lot of tough matchups for some of the other teams out here. But my top 5, my fifth one, is Cloud9. They're going against TDK, which I expect to be free win. I expect a lot of points. I expect Medius to do what he does best and just farm the lane and get fed and then help his team win. Farm the lane. Farm the jungle and get win. Yep. And Cloud9 is also against Team Impulse, which I think they could possibly lose this game, but I think things are so sporadic with Team Impulse that you could trust that Cloud9 will get a ton of points off of them. So that's my top 5. I'm going to go into my bottom 5 now. Excuse me. The first in my bottom 5, and I have 2 teams that you should definitely not trust by any circumstance whatsoever. So my first not trusted team here in my top 2, or in my the top of my bottom 2. Copenhagen Wolves. Do not trust them whatsoever. They just lost Airwax, and from his tweet, it doesn't seem good. The atmosphere seems awful. Then we got Young Buck requesting to leave today, as of recording this. So just quite frankly, the team is in disarray. I know they have great players such as Freeze and Soren, but just replacing Airwax with Shook is not going to solve the problem. I think this whole thing's a disaster right now. The second team that I guarantee you should not touch by any circumstance are TDK. I think they are in just full shutdown mode right now. Seraph, I feel so sorry for the guy. He was probably promised those 2 players, Emperor and Ninja, and nothing. They have not shown up. I don't know if it's visa problems. I haven't really looked into it. All I know is that they're probably not going to be here this week, maybe not next week, maybe not ever. So just don't trust TDK. They replaced Beast 2 with ManCloud. It's a whole like rotating clockwork disaster. The third team I suggest you don't trust is Gambit Gaming. They got probably the toughest schedule out of either EU and NA teams, which is against Origin Gaming and Fnatic. That's pretty much enough said. Those are 2 of the best teams in EU, if not the best 2 teams in EU. The fourth team I suggest you don't trust is Team 8. Team 8's going against TSM. I know they got the whole TSM Keith McBree thing, but the last time Keith subbed into a team, he did relatively well. And I'm not one to think that TSM has not prepared to have a sub at any point in time. I think they're a pretty tight organization, and they're ready to adjust to things such as this. And they're also Team 8 is also going against Enemy Esports, which have been inconsistent at times, but I think that even if Team 8 pulls out a win here, they're not going to give you a lot of points. So the final team not to trust is SK Gaming. SK Gaming is going against Elements, who I think have raised the bar, so to speak. They're ready to compete and they're ready to win. And also, when SK derives success, it's either from their mid lane or their bot lane or their jungler. I know that was kind of weird, but in that order basically. So when one falls, the other's got to pick it up. But Elements pretty much every lane outclasses each of those roles that I just explained. And then SK is going against H2K, which I explained before. They outclass them in the important positions. Ryu's probably better than Fox, and Hjarman and Kasing are definitely better than Candy Panda and Rated. So that's it for the show. Sorry I went for 8 minutes, but I had to explain the whole Copenhagen Wolves thing and whatever. So hope you enjoyed. Leave comments how I can improve. I'm going to try and get graphics again. I got work and stuff, so it's been keeping me pretty occupied. But thanks again for watching. I will see you next time, and good luck with your fantasy games this week.